Steve, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, guys.
Can we be bitten this summer here in Utica, New York and its surroundings? Yes or no?
Right off the bat, Steve. Look at that.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so right now they're saying it's not likely. They're saying that the Asian tiger mosquito, that particular type of Aedes mosquito, is not going to go north of probably Kentucky.
All right.
So it doesn't look like it.
All right. So if we're traveling to Kentucky or Virginia or Tennessee, what's the likelihood that we could be bitten by one of these mosquitoes?
Well, if you're traveling, then yes, there is likelihood. And the thing about the Aedes, this particular type of Aedes mosquito, the Asian tiger, it's actually a beautiful mosquito. It's black and white and great markings. But this mosquito actually feeds all day long. And that's the difference between most of the other species. Most species only feed at dusk and dawn. This one feeds all day long, 100-degree weather, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's out looking for a blood meal.
Wow. That's scary.
Yum.
And what I found kind of fascinating and scary, and maybe you could correct me on this, but there are close to, or maybe more than 90 different species of mosquitoes. Am I correct on that?
Well, there's about 3,000 different species of mosquitoes. Yeah, we've got about 90 of them here in the U.S.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, West Nile virus actually started up there in New York, and it's carried by not just the Aedes, but also the Culex mosquito. And the truth is that West Nile virus is still our biggest threat in this country. Maybe not to pregnant women, but it will take more lives this year than Zika, most likely.
And what are some of the symptoms from either one of those? Are they similar?
They are similar, except that, like for Zika, if you get that and you're not a pregnant woman, then you could have flu-like symptoms, but they're only going to last a few days. And so that's why I say if you've had sex with somebody that's got Zika within 4 days of when they get it, then you can get it. But if it's past 4 days, then it's not likely that you'll get it. So Zika is not quite as bad. West Nile virus, I got it in 2008. And I'll tell you, it's miserable for a couple of months, if not worse.
So you had the virus?
Yes. Once you get it, you can't get rid of it. I got it. I actually was doing a lot of testing back then, field trials, and one night in particular, I counted about 5,000 mosquitoes landing on me, and had probably over 1,500 bites in one night.
Wow. Steve, I don't want to go too far here, but do you ever have your friends call you crazy or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, that's what usually people say. Steve, if you'll give up the mosquitoes, you might get a girlfriend. So,
I guess this is why they call you Mosquito Steve. Mosquito Steve Moore, mosquito expert, joining us on the Talk of the Town.
Steve, I had another question, but now I have to ask you something else. So, what is it that we can do to prevent being bitten? If you had 5,000 mosquitoes and you only got bitten 1,500 times, if the rest of us have only 10 and we can only get bitten once, that'd be a win. So what do you do to keep from being bitten?
Well, it's really, really important to wear spray-on repellent. I know that people don't like doing that. That's one of the reasons I got in the business in the first place back in the early 2000s, was because I can't stand wearing stuff on me like mosquito repellent. But I will tell you, I've got a natural repellent that works better than DEET and Picardin, but Picardin is another natural product that works very well. So there are options to DEET. So I just say look around, do some research, and always read the labels. People don't read labels. There's a lot of products out there that claim they do stuff that they can't possibly do.
All right, and then I have the second question. The original question I wanted to ask you was, you talk about how there's a very specific mosquito that carries the Zika virus, and it isn't expected to get past Kentucky. Is there a chance that the virus could switch to a different mosquito that could be carried further north, or is there something about the genetic makeup or the physical makeup of this specific type of mosquito that makes it more hospitable to Zika?
Well, so here's the thing. We don't know. You saw the information's coming over very, very slowly. It's just like they just now announced, it's more scary than we thought. Well, the information's coming in real slowly, and that's because the virus has mostly been contained over in Africa since the 40s. So now that it's coming close to the U.S., we're going to start finding out more and more about it. West Nile virus actually transferred over, it's Aedes and Culex mosquitoes now. So it would not surprise me if eventually the Zika virus didn't cross over to another species as well.
And is there a way to completely eradicate this before it starts to spread aggressively in the United States?
It's not likely. You know, we were fortunate we got rid of malaria, but that's because we were spraying DDT everywhere, and we don't really know what the results of that has been, you know, on the public. But you know, unless we can step up with something like that, it's very unlikely we'll get rid of it altogether.
Steve, I remember reading an article a couple of months ago, maybe, or weeks past, in the New York Times about how in one country are they genetically engineering male mosquitoes to go out into the wild and impregnate females, and that's one way that they're looking to eradicate this. Did you read about that?
Absolutely, that is true. In fact, University of Arkansas, I'm working with the University of Arkansas to develop some solutions, and they've actually already developed a genetically modified mosquito, and that's exactly what it does. It goes out and you know, impregnates the women, but they don't have babies. So,
wow.
Bottom line, they don't lay eggs.
Well, that might work as a form of birth control with humans if they could pioneer that whole thing. That sounds amazing.
Oh, God.
Certain guys would love that, probably.
Do you see what I deal with here, Steve? Do you see what I deal with?
do.
I'm trying to ask you
I
serious
understand.
questions about the mosquitoes, and this is where we're going.
Wow.
I know. Y'all are crazy.
Well, Steve, you have any plans for the weekend as far as engaging with mosquitoes?
Actually, it's funny. Like today, I'm driving up to Oklahoma because we got a fly spray now. I can keep flies off of poop for 2 days, so we're pretty excited about that. So we're going to do some testing up in Oklahoma.
Do you work with any other insects or animals, or exclusively with mosquitoes?
No, flies and spiders. We've got all kinds of great products. We're actually working on some crop protection. So we've got lots of stuff going on. We're constantly in research and development. And fortunately, you know, with flies and stuff, I don't have to stand out and count how many land on me like I did with mosquitoes. But
and Steve,
but anyways,
and Steve, no way, shape, or form did you ask for a plug or to push your products. But is there a way that someone could get a hold of you or check out the products you're talking about?
Oh, absolutely. It's just mosquitosteve.com.